Welcome to another in the series where we have a look at some of the welcome tapes and discs that were often given out with the old 8-bit machines. And in this particular instance, it's for the Acorn BBC Model B. So I never actually had one of these when I was a kid. We had one at school, in fact we had several at school, so I was familiar with the machines. And I always get quite nostalgic when I look at some of the old software based on that machine. So basically these welcome tapes and discs, this is a disc version, they were giving away with the machines just to show people who were... Whoa, what was that? That was exciting. Okay, so they were given away because at the time, as you probably remember if you're watching this, you probably had a BBC yourself. So people just didn't have computers before these machines. They were brand new and they didn't really know what they were capable of. So this was like a demonstration thing that they could give out to people, normally inside the actual box itself, so that you could, you had something to look at first thing Christmas morning. It was also used in shops as well, so you could they could leave these running on the screens, and people coming into stores to buy a computer could see the capabilities and some of the things that you could do with them. So as you can see there's an index. There's a lot of different things. It wasn't on the screen long enough for me to read it, so it's asked me to put the time and date in. So I just need to explain that I want to say thank you to Patrick Furlong for recording this for me, and I'm just sort of narrating over the top of it. So it's Patrick that's actually typing all this in there. So it's asking for the time and date. No idea why, but I'm sure that will become evident soon. That whirring noise in the background, if you probably already know, but that's the disc spinning round in the drive. So when people first had their first ever machines, obviously, I mean, I remember this myself. We're all keyboard savvy now from a very young age, but at the time, a keyboard such as a QWERTY keyboard, which is a standard, it was a mystery, and it took us a little bit of time to get used to it. So this is it's showing you where things like shift lock and shift and delete and things like that are, because I remember spending ages just staring at the keyboard trying to find things like delete when I first started using computers. So in this bit of software, it's asking you to find certain letters, which you can just it's like find you press you, and it tells you how long you took. And you probably remember it probably took it more than a second when you were a kid. It probably took you a little while to locate all the numbers and the letters there. So this is going through the ones where you need to press shift. I've got a great deal of fondness for the BBC. It's probably going to be the next machine that I actually buy, because I do miss using it. I spent many hours in the classroom just typing away in BASIC, and I do really miss it. I never got particularly good at it. I actually had a Spectrum for my home machine because it was a lot cheaper and there was more games for it. That was a priority back then. But I've got quite a lot of memories of the BBC, especially when they all got hooked up to a network and we could take over each other's machines with Star Remote. I remember taking over someone's keyboard and typing in new, which obviously wipes the code that they were writing, or the BBC basic they were writing, and then letting them have the keyboard back. You can get it back, you can just type in old and it will come back onto the screens, but it was quite evil and quite funny to see their face across the room, you know, just looking in absolute horror as all the work they'd done just disappeared. It felt a little bit like the film War Games. You felt like you were hacking. Right, this bit seems to be going on for a little while, doesn't it? So this is the bit where you need to press caps lock as well as a key. Yeah, it's not the most exciting thing to put on first on a welcome tape, I don't think. I can see why they why they did, because you might need to use a keyboard on the rest of the demo, but it does sort of go on for a little while, doesn't it? Actually, when you look at all the other welcome tapes and discs back in the day, like on the Spectrum and on the Amstrad and things like that, it was pretty much standard to have a keyboard tutorial like this. Anyway, it's gone. Let's have a look, see what else is there. Oh, sketch drawing. Okay, so this is like an Etch-a-Sketch thing from what I remember. So you control the colours on the keyboard at the top, on the red keys, and then you use the cursor keys to move about. So it's not very sophisticated, you can't do circles or anything like that, but it was, you know, quite interesting when you were a kid. I did actually see this this tape when I was at school. They made us all go through it just to familiarise ourselves with the machine. I think he's had enough of that one. Okay, so we're on to the next program. Right, so this is a calculator, and from memory, I think it wasn't a simplistic one. You had to type in the sums instead of having, you know, like buttons with plus and minus on and that sort of thing. You had to actually type it. Yeah, so it's telling you there. Look, you type it in as a line, and then it comes up with the solution. So this was all very sort of Star Trek to to all the kids back in the 1980s. And it was released in 1981. This software, it was written by BBC Software, which is part of Acorn, I'm guessing. But yeah, I remember doing all this and just thinking, wow, you know, you don't, you just needed a voice really to go with it, to be completely Star Trek computer, don't you really? But yeah, it was quite amazing at the time. I do remember on the Spectrum, just going back to the Spectrum for a minute, Christmas morning I was showing them all the software, you know, and I had a little black and white TV in my bedroom, but we had a colour TV downstairs, and they let me use the TV in the front room for about, I don't know, an hour or so. Um, and I'm showing them all this stuff because I had actually used the Spectrum before, and you know, me parents are just not bothered either. They're just completely unimpressed, and we had to put TV back on in the end. Right, okay, so this is, let's have a look. Alphabet sort. I'm not sure what it's doing there. Looks like Patrick took one look at that and thought, no. Oh my god, a poem. What's this? Oh, I think this is going to be quite a tedious one, isn't it? Yeah. What possessed them to do this? Honestly, it's. I mean, it's sort of quite fun, I guess, you know. But it's. Oh no, it's. But yes. Oh, thank God. Right, let's see what's next. Yeah, I remember actually. There was we used to get these computer magazines, and they were full of listings. They were called listings, and you could type them in. And there was always at least one program that was some sort of database thing. It was either like an address book or a cooking book or something like that. And so the problem with these things, obviously, was that they're just not practical. You know, it took so long to load up, and you might as well just have a paper telephone book or something like that, you know, because it's just quicker to access your phone numbers. But this is the sort of thing you wrote in the classes when you were doing computer studies at school, you know, just like a really simple array, as we used to call it. Um, oh, great, a game, bat and ball. There's a lot of bat and ball games actually on these welcome tapes. There's one on the Spectrum. Sorry to go on about the Spectrum a lot, but there's one on there as well called Through the Wall. Let's see how this one compares. Right, so I think it's explaining how it's drawing the court, the playing area, using draw commands and moving the cursor about. You know, I don't think this is going to be a game. I think this is actually just a graphic. Yeah, I think it is. Oh, maybe wrong. Oh, it's actually quite clever. So it tells you how to draw everything's in vector basically. So on the Spectrum, it was just little block graphics. You can't actually destroy the wall at the top though, so it's more of a, I don't know, squash maybe? Oh, I think the wall's getting further and further down though, so that might add a little bit of excitement. Yeah, it wasn't all that exciting, was it? It was quite cleverly done though, to be fair to it. Music, let's see what music. Now, the BBC actually had pretty good music compared to a lot of other machines. I'm not I'm not particularly into the music side of computers. I never really bothered with it, so I don't really know the technical side of it. But it compared quite well. I think the Commodore 64 was probably the best one before we got into the 16 bits. I think the Amstrad was quite good from what I remember. Spectrum just had a little beepy thing, didn't it? Tinny beep. But the BBC was pretty good. I think it was one of the first machines as well where you could hook up MIDI devices, from what I remember. So it was actually quite a good machine for doing things like that. You see, I don't know if Patrick's actually playing the keyboard or if it's random numbers. Yeah, thank God. Okay, so on to the next one. Okay, so it's drawing a clock using the plots, draws, commands. It's actually quite clever that the way it's done that. It's quite impressive. I think that's probably why it asked for the time at the beginning of the welcome tape. It was a bit mystifying before. All right, so you can see different ways of displaying the time. So this was pretty high tech at the time. All this digital watch stuff as well. So I remember getting my first digital watch as well. It was quite cheap actually. I went to the seaside and I got it for about £2, and everybody was amazed because it was, not only digital, but it had about 20 different alarms in like the Yellow Rose of Texas and lots of other really, really terrible little tunes. But I was going through them, showing off, and it became a bit of a status symbol how many different alarm tunes you had on your little digital watch. It's quite funny. Right. Graphics, yeah. So it was quite a good graphics machine as well, the BBC. And I think it had different modes. I can't remember the different types. I know it had like a really high res mode and a blockier mode that was similar to CFAX. It wasn't really something I played because we did computer studies. We didn't really have time to play games or anything like that. I remember playing Zaxxon on it though. But so this is supposed to be a digitized photograph, and yeah, you got to allow a little bit, yeah, because it was such a basic machine, compared to modern day machines, So that's not actually too bad. It compares well to, resolution wise, to the things like the Spectrum and the Amstrad. And the Commodore 64, I think it had a much higher resolution than all those machines. So this is probably another graphics demonstration. So this is high resolution. And I think from what it says on the screen that Patrick is actually going to be doing some of this just by using the keyboard. Okay, so it's just doing a plot. Just changing the colours at random, isn't it? It's quite fast actually. I remember it being quite a fast computer compared to, the other 8-bit machines. The processor was pretty cool. So it's a sort of variance in the same sort of pattern generator. It's just changing the values a little bit and the colours. Sort of looks quite twee now, but we would sit for hours watching this crap, honestly, back in 1981 and 1982. Yeah, thank God. Just about to say, I wish you'd select escape. Right, so I don't know what this is. It looks like it's some sort of game. I don't know. Oh, okay. Right. So it's sort of a strategy game. where you allocate people to different tasks. And then you see how many people die and how many people live. I guess that's the river flooding. So the number of people we allocated to dike defences weren't enough, but it looks like we might have got away with it because it's not. Oh, wait a minute. It's heading towards that village there, isn't it? Yeah, so it's knocked one of the villages there. There's a thief off to attack the village. Yeah, I think we need a few more people, Patrick. Yeah, that's right. Flood defences. So the population's going up a little bit each time. Right. Yeah, not enough people defending the villages there. One thing I noticed there actually is not all the people were used in the village. I don't know if that, if it's important or not code-wise. It just meant there's a lot of people not being utilised, wasn't it? So I don't know. Yeah, I don't think Patrick's the best man for this job. To be quite honest, I think the villagers are suffering because he's not allocating enough people. Ha! Told you. Oh, biorhythms. When I mentioned the software listings magazines you could get, I don't know why, but there was always a biorhythms program, and I've never heard of them before. But it's basically three sine waves, and each one's got some sort of connection with your emotional well-being. I can't really remember. I never really understood what it was, but I think if it's connected with a date, it will tell you like how happy you'd be, other things like that. Yeah, so you got to put your date of birth in, and all the sine waves are offset as well. And it's you could tell just by looking at this sine wave or three sine waves, just how you'd be feeling on a certain day or something like that. Something, bollocks, basically. Oh no, come on. So that's your physical, I'm guessing. That's emotional. And that's something else intelligent. I don't know. But it was one of those things that there was always a listing for it in every single magazine you had, listings magazine. I think, sorry to go on about the Spectrum a lot, but Scion Software actually brought out a full price title for Biorism, so you could actually buy it. And there we go. I think that's the end of it. So thanks for joining me, everyone. I'm hoping you felt a bit of nostalgia there. I certainly did. And I hope you catch some more of my other videos. But thanks again for joining me, and you all take care. Okay, thank you.